second. Same thing Houston it was.
It's just our luck.
Yeah. That's right. Well, hello everybody. Danny and Wanda back from Deep South Homestead. Let's see here. Let Ms. Wanda get this thing pulled up here and see if she can get this done.
Maybe.
See if she can pull this off.
Nope.
Nope. Oh. Okay.
Almost.
Almost.
That close enough?
That'll do.
Okay.
Okay. It's not perfect, but it'll do. Okay. Oh, Jen's here on Trey's thing, I see, and lots of other people popping in here. There's Frankie. Good evening, Miss Frankie. And let's see here.
It's rolling so fast in my eyes.
Yeah.
I mean, I may or may not read some of it.
Yeah, well, I can't see half of it anyway, so.
Yeah,
All I
Danny
just-
had to take his glasses back.
I had to take my glasses back because I couldn't do the bifocals. Had to take them back. Tell them, take them out. Just give me plain lenses.
So he hasn't gotten them yet. And
Yeah. Aaron Mast, first time here. I knew some Mastas.
Estes.
Yeah, that lived down in the sunflower community.
Yeah.
Okay.
And yes, Jenny did get a little bit of a haircut.
Yes, I did. I got a haircut. I got a beard cut. I got the whole back of my head shaved off. Everything.
I should have just
Now I'm
shaved
cold.
the whole thing. Yeah, so he's complaining with it cold now.
Yeah, I have to sleep with a toboggan on now. Okay. Oh, man. Let's see here. We're a little blurry. Yeah, everybody keeps saying it's a little.
And we can't figure out what's
I
going
can't
on.
figure out what's going on. I mean, it doesn't look blurry on our end.
No.
Our end looks.
But when it uploads to YouTube, it looks blurry. So
Yeah.
we're not sure
Not
where
sure
the
if
disconnect
you
is.
face a little
and-
setting somewhere, or. I mean,
Yeah.
I could go to settings and see if I could
I
change.
looked earlier
something.
and I couldn't find anything that would have seemed to matter that it would bring it in any better. So obviously we have something somewhere that's not set right, but we've not had time to play around with it and do
Okay.
anything.
We got Donnie and Ms. Allison and our moderators are in here, and see other people saying it doesn't look blurry to them. So other people saying I think it looks just fine. Did you used to live in Picayune? Nope, I've been to Picayune many times, but we ain't never lived there. Let's see here. The other people says it's clear to them. Looks fine to them. Looks fine.
Some of them says that.
Doesn't look blurry. Looks fine. Okay, we look good tonight. Okay. let's just
Well,
go
I
with
look
it.
better than I did last week. And so I had been putting off going to the doctor because I thought my weakness was from that crud that we had at Christmas.
Yeah.
And everybody was saying 3 to 4 weeks, you know, the weakness will start to dissipate and stuff. Well, at 3 to 4 weeks, my weakness was getting worse, not
Yeah.
better. It had gotten to the point last week that if I walked across the floor to the kitchen, I had to stop. I kept a stool in the kitchen and sit down on the stool. If I walked to the living room, I had to sit down. And sometimes 20, 30 minutes later, I'm still sitting there before I can get up and go again. And I guess the kicker was when I looked down at my hands and they were real white looking.
Yeah, I told a doctor when I went there. The doctor's a friend of mine. He's from India. I've known him for quite some time. I went in, I held Miss Wanda's hand up against mine. I said, I did not marry a white woman. And he busted out laughing because he's from India. And
he knew immediately what was going on.
He looked
looking
immediately.
at my hands and my eyes.
Wanda's hemoglobin, the normal female hemoglobin for being low is around 12 or 13. Wanda's was a 5. Okay? And that's the reason our doctor said we got to get her to a hospital. We got to get some blood in her. We got to try to figure out what's going on. So that's where we've been. We've had Miss Wanda in the hospital. She got 2 units of blood. And it's actually perked her back up a little bit. Give her some color
I don't
back.
have as much color as I should. but I'm a lot better than I was 2 days ago.
Yeah.
That was the problem.
Right.
So, and I guess a 5 must be
Must
really
be
bad.
pretty bad.
Because when we got to the hospital, the lady, I saw a lady get the wheelchair and run around, and she come around and she was looking around and she said, "Wanda King?" And I said, "Yes." And she looked at me kind of funny and she says, "Okay, I have your wheelchair." And I'm like, "Okay, I guess I get to ride in a wheelchair, you know."
Uh-huh.
And then when we got upstairs, the lady that was going to do my blood infusion or whatever they call it, she told the other lady, she said, "Give me just a minute and you can have the wheelchair back. Let me help her get in bed." And by that time I started standing up and just crawled over in bed, and she looked at me and she says, "Whoa." She said, "At 5 you shouldn't be doing that." And I'm like, okay, how bad is 5 supposed to be? And then several of my doctor friends on here sent me messages saying, "You should have been very just out of it." And I'm like, okay, I didn't know I should have been that bad, but obviously it was bad.
There's Aaron says chlorophyll helps restore hemoglobin. That's exactly what her doctor told her. He told her, he says, "You need a lot of collard greens, turnip green, broccoli, cauliflower." He said, "You need to get yourself some spinach. You need to get yourself some greens, girl." And I said, man, how many foreign doctors do you ever hear say, "Get yourself some collard greens and some cornbread"? You know what I mean? That, you just don't hear that very often.
Yeah, Delma said she had patients who were very ill with the 6.
Yeah.
So that was the thing. We had Miss Beth was my, I don't know what you call her, but anyway, she put the blood in.
Yeah, she was, I don't know what you call her either.
She had 30 years experience, so I was in good hands.
Yep.
She was very gentle, stayed around, made sure I had no reactions, no problems, and was in and out after that. She did it really slowly. The first unit took, 3 hours?
Yeah, the first unit, well, it took 2.5 hours on the first unit, almost 3. Because she did it slow because Miss Wanda was so low. And then the second one, she did it in like an hour and a half.
Yeah. But we were there the majority of the day.
Yeah.
And so we've got to go this week.
This Wednesday.
For an upper and lower GI.
Yeah, they said she's bleeding internally, either in the lower intestines or up in the stomach area or something like that. They don't know if it's an ulcer or what it is, but they're going to do an upper and lower GI on her. So that way...
I did get 2 units of blood, and she said it probably would not bring it up much past a 7. She said, on best case scenario, maybe 8. And she said, so I still would be low, and I still feel it. I felt better the last 2 days. I've been able to get up and do things that I normally took hours. I can do easily, but I still feel tired. So I know I'm not up to par.
Yeah. Okay. Well, at Fanny, we have well water. That's what we have, and our well water is high in iron. We cook, and they asked us, did we cook in iron skillets? We said, yes, we do. We done everything, and they were totally amazed at our eating habits and everything. And then that's why they said there has to be something internally wrong with Ms. Wanda because of our eating habits, being the kind of eaters, raising our own food and everything like that. That's why they want to go in and check on her insides.
Yeah. So I mean, to me, best case scenario would be if I have a ulcer or something like that, that they can help me heal.
Yeah.
I guess I never thought about an ulcer.
Well, no, but
never really crossed my mind.
Yeah. Well, they know. They say there's only 2 places in the body blood can come out. One is urine, and the other one is through the rectum. And they said, or stool, however you want to say it. And they said they'll check the stool first, and they did. And she had some blood in the stool, so they said there's something going on there, and that's where the first place they want to look.
How was my platelets? I don't know.
They didn't tell us. Well, she didn't have a problem clotting because
no.
Whenever they took the When they got through drawing her blood, she didn't even when they gave her blood, she didn't even leave any blood on the rags or anything, hardly.
Yeah, I mean, there was no, they could prick my finger and take blood and put something on it, and there was no blood there. So, and it took them a while.
Okay.
So that's where I'm going.
Yeah.
To figure out what's going on. So,
okay, I'm sitting here. All right.
Yeah, so anyway, that's where I'm at.
That's where we're.
My stools were not dark.
No, her stools are not dark or anything like that.
If it was in there, it was in.
It's a small amount. They found it through microscope. It's just a small amount. So it's just a little bit. I mean, you can have what's called leaky gut syndrome, different things like that. There's several things that you can actually have.
Yeah. So we're gonna just see, but the blood did pick me up. It did help, and I was able to get outside today, and Danny did a couple of videos.
The week will depend on what happens Wednesday. Okay. Thank y'all for all the prayers. We definitely appreciate that. Hopefully everything will go smoothly and we won't have no problems.
We'll figure it out this week, hopefully. And
we just trust the Lord that we're in His hands, and that He says, I know that I have plans for you, and I know that they're good. So that's what we claim, and that's what we look forward to.
The blood that I received came from the Red Cross. The lady that does the blood says she's had 5 or 6 infusions, or whatever they call it, throughout the years. She said they test the blood extensively. She said, I do trust that blood because we ask these questions.
We ask
lots of questions.
I asked a ton of questions.
And
now I don't know if they were honest with me or not.
Well, she was very honest, a very honest person, and we asked her, and when she didn't know something, she told us. She said, I don't know. You would have to talk to the Red Cross about that one, but as far as she said, I've been doing this 30 years, and she said chances of somebody getting any blood related infusion disease
is less than 1%.
Yeah, she said she said I don't think I've ever seen it, maybe once, twice in 30 years. So there's always a first time. Yeah. But I don't want to be that first time.
She did the H. pylori test, and it came back negative. She has no H. pylori.
I did.
That was the first thing we asked them to check, was when she had an ulcer. If they thought it was an ulcer, to check the H. pylori. They did. It was completely negative. So
yeah, that was one of the first things they did.
Yeah.
That was one of the things they couldn't tell us if it was vaccine free.
Yeah, JT, or Joey, that's one of the things that we asked up front, and they said they had no way to know if it was vaccine free or not. And that was one of my biggest questions. And I mean, I hammered the fool out of them, and everybody I talked to, nobody had an answer for that. And we just had to leave it, we just had to leave it in the Lord's hands. We just had, she had to have it. And we had to pray over it and say, Lord,
and I am a very rare type.
Yes, and Wanda is a rare type of blood, which meant they had to go hunt it and find it.
Well, they had to find something that was compatible.
Yeah, or they did. They had to cross-match it and find something that was compatible for Wanda's blood.
Because chances of them finding me some A-negative blood that quickly might have been harder to do, because I saw one of the nurses in here said that the blood banks across the country is very low.
It is very low. Well, it's because of war and everything going on right now. We just don't have.
And so to find me an A-negative match, and 2, they match other things. She told us that was not the only thing that they matched. They had to match antibodies.
Antibodies, all this kind of stuff, because she was a rare blood type. All that had to be matched before they could actually give her something.
Well, if I had other things going on in my body, like if I'd already had another blood donor, if I'd already taken it before, and there was their antibodies, some type, they might have to try and match that. There was several things that they tried to do.
Yeah, I mean, we went through a lot of stuff, guys. It was unreal at what all they had to put her through to be able to do this for her.
But it was nice, and the hospital was a very nice hospital. I don't have a problem with the hospital or with our doctors.
Yeah.
The doctor is a friend of Danny's, of course.
Yeah, luckily I'm friends with lots and lots of people that are in key positions, let's just say that.
Yeah. All right, so what else you been doing?
Not
much of nothing.
We got some pretty good, I think we got a pretty good video coming up this week about one of the projects that I've been involved in that we can talk about, I think, right now. So that'll be out, when will it be out, Monday or?
Possibly Monday. I'm going to try and have that one up Monday.
There'll be one out, what, Thursday?
Well, the other one I thought I'd put on Pecan Grove.
Okay, I forgot about that. Yeah, one goes on Pecan Grove, one goes on Deep South, and then I got Porch Time. I usually shoot on Sundays, so tomorrow I'll be shooting Porch Time.
Yeah, see, you look blurry to me, and I'm not sure if it's the way you're sitting or...
Maybe if I get over here where you're at. Maybe it's just one side of the camera.
I don't know.
Well, I'm only half human anyway, so maybe that's what it is. Maybe it's only picking up half of me. So that's what it is. Okay. All right. Yeah, well, the weather is one thing. And we did get some rain. Praise the Lord, we got some rain.
Let me see if I can find my phone.
One of our ponds at Deep South Homestead filled up and is running over. The other one in the back with a pier on it, it's still, I was out this morning looking at it, it's about 4.5 feet low right now. And over at Pecan Grove, that one is about
I didn't get a picture of that.
About 2 foot low.
All right, let's see if I can get this where y'all can see it. That is the front
That's
pond.
the front pond at Deep South Homestead here.
All right.
You didn't go get one of the back ponds.
Yeah, I did.
Did you? Today?
Not today, yesterday.
Okay, because
Wait.
You didn't go outside today and take one.
Yesterday.
She went outside yesterday. That's the one from yesterday.
Yeah.
The one today, I went outside. She didn't. Because it rained. It rained. Oh gosh, it flooded here today.
I hadn't been out.
Yeah, Wanda's been trying to stay in, trying not to get out.
I went and did the videos over at Pecan Grove.
Well, yeah, but
I didn't go take pictures.
She didn't go take pictures.
South, I wasn't thinking about that.
I
didn't think about all those. But
anyway.
I did get the water the last 2 days. It hadn't been.
So we are excited that, and I actually went walking around in the woods over at Pecan Grove just to check out some of the creeks and streams and stuff on the property, and thank the Lord, they're all running with water now. We didn't get a lot of rain. I mean, one day we got, what did I tell you, 4 and 3/4 or 5 and 3/4? 4 and 3/4.
3 and 4/4.
No, ain't no such thing as 4/4. 4/4.
3 and it was
4 and 3/4 because it was almost 5 inches.
It was almost 5 inches.
Yeah, it was 4 and 3/4 one day. The next day we got 2.5, and we got a 1/2 inch. So I mean, we got around 8 inches of rain so far, which is not a lot for us. Well, because we've got a 46-inch deficit. Now we're probably down to a 30-something inch deficit. But
it is bringing it up.
But the water's coming back up, you know.
I wanted to go walking through the woods with him or something so I could get the creeks where the little streams he's talking about, but I'm not up to that yet.
Yeah, I can't let her go in the woods. That's a no.
For right now. But altogether, we probably got close to 7 or 8 inches.
I'm talking close to 8 inches of rain in a week. Yeah. So that's like a small tropical storm coming in here where we live at. God is really good to us because we prayed that we would get the rain, and guys, most of it has. We had to travel out of town to go to the hospital, and we were really concerned about that during all this because it was right during all the bad weather.
Yeah, the day they sent me, Danny said, okay, that we had to go get, I had to go get typed. And so we had to drive there, and it's about a 45-minute drive. And in that rain, it's even more than that.
Yeah.
And so Danny says, oh, that weather's coming in this evening.
I said, man, that weather's coming in.
And I think it was supposed to be like 5.
Well, around
4:30.
around 4 to 5 o'clock.
And we left and got over there. They got the typing done, and they sent me home because they told me I wouldn't get the blood till the next day. And
we got home about 2:30.
no, we got home.
No, around 2:30.
2:30.
And then they called back about 5.
It started raining within 20 minutes of us getting home. And what was
severe.
bad, when we came in, it had just rained real heavily here before we got here.
Yeah.
Because
Oh, let me tell you, before we
missed
go any further, let's tell them how good God is. You know how you get really, really frustrated when you get behind somebody that's driving slow?
Yep.
Well, we got behind a guy with a trailer full of scrap metal on it, driving 45 miles an hour on a 2-lane road that's real hilly for 45 minutes almost, you know?
And I was like, I can't pass him.
I kept saying, and Wanda's like, I can't pass him. He's, you know, there's just no way.
I don't pass people, especially
And
on 2-lane roads, unless there's
we
a
were
long
just like
stretch.
behind this guy forever. But God was good by doing that because we were behind him
and going slow.
Every time we got to point A to point B, all the severe weather had just went through, and the ditches were all full of water, flooding out everywhere. I mean, water was everywhere, but we missed the rain all the way over there and all the way back.
Yeah. And when we got home, within 20, 30 minutes,
20 minutes of getting home, it flooded. I mean, the bottom fell out.
And then they called. We had not been home a little over an hour, hour and a half, and they called and says, okay, can you come back? We have your blood here. And I'm like, no.
No.
I said, I'm sorry, I can't come back tonight. We had hours.
Oh, because it would have took us an hour to get there, or an hour and a half in the rain, and then another 4 or 5 hours to take the blood, another hour and a half to come back. We'd have been after 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning coming back in all that severe weather. We told them no. We just wait till the next day.
So we got up and when we got up and headed to the hospital the next morning, it was raining, but just slight. It was not hardly any rain. So we got there. During the time we were there, it acted really ugly one time.
The actual front came through while we were there because I was going down to the cafeteria to get Miss Wanda something to eat. And I saw a bunch of nurses sitting and looking and pointing at a window, and when I walked by it, rain was slapping the window, leaves was blowing against the window and everything. I mean, it was really, really bad. And one of them says, oh, it looks like a tornado may be happening or something. And I'm like, I don't think that's it, you know. So I kept on going to the cafeteria, and by the time I went to the cafeteria and came back, the whole thing was over, and there was virtually no rain after that.
And so we drove home that afternoon in basically no rain. But then after we got home, we got more rain.
It flooded when we got back home.
So God was really good to us the whole time, because I was worried about the driving in the rain or hitting a slick spot on the road. Because Mississippi roads is famous for slick spots when it ain't rained in a while.
Exactly. Actually, the road's actually more dangerous.
And it was foggy that morning, but not bad foggy. The visibility was way on.
Yeah, the fog was about around 100 to 150 feet up in the air. It didn't ever lower itself to the ground where we could not be able to see. And my grass, our ryegrass here and our clover, all this rain is starting to pop. Things are starting to turn green. That was a blessing too. The cows are finally having a little bit of something to nibble on the ground.
Yeah. And the video we're doing for Pecan Grove is going to be an update on our raised beds and our...
Oh, you guys got to see that video. I'm going to tell you. You're going to have to see the video from Pecan Grove. It blows my mind at how...
We were both shocked.
We were shocked. I was going to say, we were both shocked.
I hadn't been to the raised bed in...
Oh, you ain't been down there in probably a month.
2 or 3 weeks, maybe a month.
Close to a month,
even know.
Yeah.
And we just, Danny's, when he took that cover off, we're both going,
We both sit back and said, whoa.
I mean, y'all will hear it. Y'all know.
Yeah, you'll see it when we saw it. And I'm going to tell you something. I am now a firm believer in AgriFab frost cover blanket.
Somebody's asked about the secret project. It's not a secret project. It's just one that is one of our, I guess you would say, we just became an affiliate with the company, and we're going to show what we got from them because we were a little leery about them. And
yeah, we done a little research into them. And we did a lot of talking to the company, you know, because you always want to make sure. Done a lot of investigating. And I think we found what we've been looking for quite some time.
I think it's going to help us not have to worry about some of our raised beds.
Right.
So, y'all check it out come Monday, maybe.
Monday or...
It'll be Monday
probably
or Tuesday on Pecan Grove.
It'll be on Pecan Grove.
So you have to go over to Pecan
Grove. You need to go over and subscribe to Pecan Grove anyway, because all of our videos are gradually going to be moving over to Pecan Grove when it comes to gardening and stuff like that. There's a link in the description down below to it. So because
Miss Allison's putting it up.
And because if you don't, you're going to miss all the gardening that we do this year, because we're not doing any gardening at Deep South Homestead because we're just letting it rest. I mean, I've been growing over there for what, 20 or 30 years? I mean, 20 years at least. I've been growing crops there.
Yeah,
and
close to it.
I just got to let that place rest, guys. I mean, you know, the fruit trees will still bear fruit and all that kind of stuff, but we got Pecan Grove over there now, and it's good soil. Hadn't been farmed to death. I want to use it. You know, I think God gave it to us for a reason.
Oh, they want to know what about the cook stove between the trees? You have to explain. It starts with the azalea and work up to that because how we found out what was.
First, we found this. We was having a pond dug with the big track hoe. You know, we was having a big pond enlarged and made it a lot bigger and everything. And while the track hoe was working, I kept looking down in the woods because he would throw big old chunks of lighter out there he dug up, and he, you know, water heaters and everything out of the ground. I don't know how all this junk got in there, but he would throw it out, and I'd take the tractor and go haul it off. Well, I was sitting there on the tractor waiting while he was digging this thing out. He was on mats out there in that bottom digging this thing out. And I kept looking in the woods, and I said, that looks like flowers down there in those woods. So I drove down there on the tractor and got off and started walking in the woods. And guys, there was an azalea bush down there that was probably 15 feet high and probably 30 feet wide. And I was like, oh my word. So I took the tractor and started pushing all where I could get around it, because it was so growed up in bushes and vines.
He says, you got to come see this.
And I said, man, I got to go get Wanda for this one. So I took Wanda around there, and she looked at it and she goes, wow, this is a huge azalea. I said, let's look around it. So we kind of got to looking down in the woods where there was a stream of water coming out right below that azalea bush. And in that stream of water, we have a video on this. There's a stream of water. We've seen a kitchen sink. We found a black hose sticking out of the ground. There was all kind of stuff in that water. And we was like, man, was there a house here at one time or what? And so we just kind of brushed it off at the moment. And
we didn't walk any further.
We didn't know. That day we didn't go any further. But later on, after they got the pond, started filling it back up and everything, we was down in behind the pond dam in there, kind of looking around. There's huge trees in there. These trees are huge.
We went in behind the azalea and kept going. He wanted to walk where the water was.
Yeah, I wanted to go down and see where the water actually ran into the holler at. And I got down in there, and here's these two giant oak trees, and there's this giant piece of metal in between them, like it growed up in between two trees. And I'm looking at it, and I told Wanda, I said, what in the world is that? And I said, it looks like a wood stove. I said, but it's made out of thin metal. And I kind of kept pulling on it and jerking on it, and I found a name tag stuck on the side of it that said it was a stove company. And I had never seen anything like it. And come to find out, it was actually a kerosene cook stove. And
we came home and took the tag and looked it up, and these were made by, I think the company starts is Magic
Chef
now.
bought them out,
Yeah.
actually bought them
And
out.
so we were looking, and these were like a cheaper version for people that couldn't afford the big cast iron stoves, and they were transitioning into our new metal stoves we have now.
Yeah.
And so they were experimenting with this stuff, and this was one of them that they did. Still, Danny and I are sitting there going,
why
is it down in
the woods between two giant oak trees? And why is there a kitchen sink in this stream? Why is there a giant azalea at this stream? So many unanswered questions. And we were up working at the barn.
We were at the barn at the time.
And a black pickup truck pulled in and was turning around. Of course, I went to hollering at it because anybody who comes on my property, I'm going to scream at you, you know.
To see who it is.
I want to know who you are. Well, the guy stopped and he got out of the truck and he says, I'm looking for so-and-so. And I'm kind of, maybe not arrogant, but I mean, I said, hey, he don't live here no more. And I said, he lives down the road. And he says, oh, okay. And he just kind of walked over and just got to talking, introduced himself. And we sit there and talk for a while. And he finally, he said, I don't think the old man who lived here would mind me telling this. He said, but there's no pond back on it. He said, it's probably done growed up now. I said, no, we had. And I said, we all just kind of looked at each other and started laughing because then we knew why there was an old cook stove back there. We knew why there was an old kitchen sink back there. We knew why the azalea bush was there. It had marked the spot. And the stream was a good stream of water running out of the ground. So we kind of knew why everything was as good, as good as it was. And was still there.
And buffering.
That doesn't surprise me. We're moving again.
You may have to tell the story again.
Let's see here.
There's something going on with our
stream. But I'm looking at it buffering right there. It'll still tell it if you go back and watch it.
All right, so you might have to kind of tell it again. The video went out big time.
Let's see here.
While you were telling it, the whole story, it buffered.
Oh man, everybody says they missed the story.
All right, tell it again for me.
Are we still buffering? Okay, everybody's saying we're back now. Miss Wanda had to get up and go. She got coughing real bad. Let me see if I can pull this up.
Start with just streaming.
Everybody says it still keeps it. Everybody says we're fine now. We're back up now. Yeah, I don't know what happens when I get to something like that. Everybody says it's working now. Okay. No, there was no house back there. Come to find out, and I'll briefly retell you. If you don't watch the whole story, you have to go back and watch it once it loads. But there was originally a whiskey still back there, and everybody made moonshine back there. But that's why the cook stove was there. That's why the sink was back there. That's why the azalea bush was there, marking the spot for that stream, so they'd always know where it's at. So that is really, that's really what it was. It was a moonshine still, is what it was back there. So, yeah, Miss Wanda goes through these coughing spells. She gets to coughing and gagging, sounds like she's going to heave, and so she has to get up and actually leave and go try to get something to drink or get a piece of candy in her mouth or something or other. If she gets the least bit warm, then that's what happens to her. Because she still hadn't quite got past what's going on. But we got to laughing about it. I mean, we kind of had a suspicion that was probably what it was, but the man was a really good Christian man, and we just, none of the family, the crazy thing about it is none of the family knew about it except his son. I talked to his son, and his son knew about it, but none of the rest of the family knew. Everybody says you need to lemon juice and honey and take care of that. But anyway, that's what that's about. I'm trying to think, what else have I been doing this week other than trying to stay out of the rain and being at the doctor with you?
Not much.
I ain't done nothing in the gardens because it's too wet. I watched the ponds fill up. I did do that. Let's see. We didn't make no sausage this week. That was last week, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm.
That was last week we made all the sausage.
No, I don't seem to be losing weight, so.
No, she ain't lost no weight.
Well.
Let's see what.
I'm not sure. Mainly just on the road this week. We've been.
Yeah, we spent a lot of time.
3 days.
Well, a lot of
this
time
week.
in doctors' offices.
Yeah.
Yeah, I told Wanda. I said, you know something that I really understand now. I understand why older people can't get nothing done. Because once you get something wrong with you, they just keep you coming back to the doctor because they don't really just do everything at once. They just come back tomorrow, come back the next day, come back the next day, go to this doctor, go to that doctor. You know, instead of just going ahead and running the test and seeing what's wrong with you right up front, they got to drag it all out and they make you spend a ton of money in gas, a ton of money in co-pays and all this kind of stuff. And it's all a money game, you know, and then I don't even know if I trust the test. I'm just being honest. I don't know if I trust the test. I don't know. How do I know there's blood in anything? I mean, I didn't see it. You know, I'm just taking someone's word for it. So,
Yeah, so we've just been pretty much, we're not used to going to doctors. We're not used to having
No.
to deal with this.
we are not. That's for sure.
I told Danny I have been in the hospital 4 times in my life. I'm 62 years old. The day I was born in a hospital, the day I had my first child, the day I had my second child, and
You had your heart.
when I had my heart checked, what that was like 6 years ago, 7?
Yeah, about 3, 4 years ago.
No, it's been longer than that, 6
It's been
or
longer
7.
than that? Okay.
Yeah, so
That's-
4 times have I been in the hospital for anything.
Yeah.
And so I'm not used to being in the hospital.
Yeah. Miss Wanda's not. And the people at the hospital and the clinics, they can't believe that. They look at you and go, you've only been in the hospital 4 times in 60-something years? Like, yep. They said, well, what kind of meds are you on? We go, we don't take any meds. You know, and they're like, what?
Well, my dad was that way. He made it to 60. I think he was in 60. I think he was at least 60 before he had his heart surgery. And he'd never spent a night in the hospital except the nights my mama had us.
Yeah.
He spent the night in the hospital with her, if they let him. And he said that's the only time he'd ever been in the hospital till he went in and had his heart surgery. And I think he was in his 60s. I can't remember how old. So I take after my daddy. And he gave me the A negative blood too.
Yeah, that's true. Now, me on the other hand, I have spent a big portion of my life in a hospital. I lived a little bit more on the dangerous side than Ms. Wanda
Well,
did.
yeah, you drank bleach at a young age, and
I did.
ended up.
I did. I started my life off right by drinking bleach and at a very young age, and having to have my stomach pumped, and I had to croup. I had to live under a croup tent for I don't know how long, because we lived in these old houses that you could see through the walls in, you know. And when wintertime would come, we'd get sick and had to be hospitalized for that. And then, you know, through my younger years now, I just never did go to the doctor at all. But then I tore all to pieces in an accident and had to fly a doctor in to put me back together. And from that point forward, I have been in and out of hospitals quite often because of just, let's just say,
Kidney stones, heart issues.
well, not only that, I mean,
everything else.
I've just lived dangerously.
I mean, he's had all kinds of stuff.
I have lived a very dangerous life.
So and since we've been married 10 years, you've been in the hospital probably 8 or 10 times,
Yeah,
at least.
at least.
So,
Yeah, I've had X-rays, broken bones, you know, you name it. And I've been run through the ringer. Let's just
Okay,
say
somebody
that.
wants to know, Sheila wants to know, when are you planting potatoes?
Well, Sheila, it all depends
Soon.
on when the ground dries up. You know, the ground's got to dry up first now. Now we bogging knee deep in mud everywhere, so I can't really get out and do much. And if I did, the taters would just rot.
All right,
you
so
know.
see, now Melanie has something similar here. Where'd she go? Melanie Hirsch. She said, I've been dealing with low iron this past year. She found out after falling on ice. It's most likely been low for years. Now, mine has always been low. I mean, I've always had low blood. The year before Danny and I met, they were wanting to give me blood, and I just refused. I just brought the iron count up other ways. But when Danny and I met, his well had a lot of iron.
Yeah,
Plus, we used iron skillets and things like that. So I got my iron and I built it back up. Before we met, I ate ice 24/7. After we met, I quit eating ice, just quit. Didn't have any problems, was reasonably healthy until this past summer. And I should have known, but I just thought it was because it was hot. I started eating ice again, and it's like I craved ice all the time, and I still am. And they said that was one of the symptoms.
Yeah.
And I should have paid attention. I mean, I really knew that from years ago, but I wasn't paying any attention.
Oh man, let's see here.
You're going to be...
What fertilizers do you use this time of the year on onions and garlics? Jay Robertson wants to know. Robinson wants to know. I'm just gonna be honest with you. A lot of people gonna get wacky and wackadoodle on me here now. Garlic and your onions, as big with as many leaves on it as you can, as fast as you can. And I use Miracle Grow because Miracle Grow is nothing more than liquid nitrogen. That's all it is. It is not anything dangerous or harmful or anything like that. I know Monsanto has a hand in it. I can't help that. If you go back and try to figure out who's got their hand in what, you'll find out that 99% of everything you buy, somebody that you don't like's got their hands in it. So I take Miracle Grow once every 2 weeks, and I douse the fool out of them and put that nitrogen into the soil, and the plants just pump up and pump up and pump up, and then when it gets to be about March, I just quit, and I let them rock and roll from that point on.
Okay, Aaron wants to know. Right here.
What is electroculture for garden and how does it work? Aaron wants to know that. There is an ancient form of pulling nutrients out of the soil and from the air. If you live in the northern hemisphere, you want your copper coils to be wound clockwise. If you live in the southern hemisphere, you want it to be wound counterclockwise. The best way to figure out how to wind your coils where you're at is to flush your toilet or run water down the sink and watch how the water swirls as it goes down the sink, and it will tell you the direction to wind your copper in. Now, of course, the taller the copper, the more electrons you're going to pull out of the air back down into the soil.
Again. And this rain, it just quit raining a couple hours ago.
Well, anytime I start talking about anything that's good, it starts buffering. But they'll just have to go back and watch the live. That's all I can say after it's over with. I mean, but the thing about it is you want to make sure you put the copper coils on the south side of the plant, about 2 to 3 inches from it. And guys, I'll tell you what, it's proven to me and Wanda that it works. I've done this for probably 30 years. If you're looking for copper coils, you can go see Mr. Mickey over at Hills Mill Homestead. They sell them there. I think I ain't gonna give you a price because I might be lying to you, but they work. I'm gonna tell you, they literally work. Now you cannot put them in the ground and no fertilizer and expect them to work. That is a myth. All you're doing with electroculture is you're energizing the microbes that's in the soil to utilize what's in the soil so that the plant can take it up. It's not a miracle. It's not a rabbit's foot. You can't just go stick it in a hard dirt and expect the plant to do wonderful if you haven't put the proper nutrition there.
Something about this backdrop, I'm watching, when you start fuzzing,
Yeah.
it's when you're moving, it's concentrating on this because it's not moving.
Okay, maybe we need to change our backdrop in.
I just got this pretty backdrop.
I know.
So what am I going to do? You got to be still.
I can't
I
be
guess I'm
still.
more still than you are.
Maybe so.
And that's unusual.
Yeah.
But you do this, you move.
I do move.
And you got to have to be still. We may have to do a blank.
Southern Girl says, what do you use to keep bugs off corn? I've used neem oil for the last 3 years. The bugs always win. Southern Girl, we just go through and when the worms start, if we see any worms on ours, we just go through and hand kill them. And then if we can't control them that way, then BT, now that's capital B, capital T, is short for Bacillus thuringiensis. It is a soft-bodied worm organic spray that literally works with cabbages, broccolis, any kind of leafy greens, corn, any of this kind of stuff to kill the worms that actually eat your stuff. And it works very, very well. And if you can't find that, you can go over to Hoss Tool and you can get, I believe they call it spinosad. You can get that. Works just as good. But that neem oil, we've tried neem oil on a lot of different things and have had very little success with it. I'm just being honest.
I killed some stuff with it.
I wanted to kill some plants with it. But other than
I guess
that,
I overdid it. I don't know what I did or didn't do something right.
yeah.
But I did kill several of my plants with neem oil. And so
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, that's not for me. Miss Lippy is okay. She is in the middle of working on her backsplash in her kitchen.
Yeah.
Her and Mr. Buddy only had today and tomorrow, and they were going to work till about 10 o'clock tonight and then work all till they get through tomorrow. So she's okay. She may, Buddy may not be,
Yeah.
but she's okay.
Darlene wants to know, would it work on snails?
Yeah.
I don't think it'll work on snails. What will work on snails is the copper electroculture coils.
I didn't remember what you were talking
You
about.
can either use beer in little lids that sit around your plants, or you can use the copper coils. Snails hate copper. It causes an electromagnetic friction through the soil that irritates them, and they usually will not come around. We learned it by putting them around our strawberries because the snails were eating up all of our strawberries, and we finally found out that by putting the electroculture rods in our strawberries that we do not have snails anymore.
All right, Wanda G wants to know help with peach and plum tree borers. What was that you did to your peach trees? Except kill them.
Peach tree borers, you can, first of all, in January, which is now, you need to lime around the tree really good and heavy, right around the tree and out away from it about 3 to 4 foot. Put you a good bit of lime. The old people use fireplace ashes, but we just use lime. It works really, really good. And you can use some bleach right around the base of the tree and up on the sides of the tree.
But be careful.
Be careful now. You can't overdo it, but you can use some bleach on it. And you can also, if you can find the hole going into the tree where the jelly's coming out of it at, you can run a little small tiny wire up in there and punch it up in that hole. Sometimes you're able to pierce the worm and kill it and actually stop it from doing any more damage. But a lot of times, once a peach tree borer gets in the bottom of a tree, it's doomed anyway. Sometimes you can save the tree. I saved one of mine for several years and eventually killed it with
But
Grazon.
you did paint it with white.
You can also use white latex paint.
But you watered it down, didn't you?
Yes, and you water it down and paint that on the base of the tree also. That will help.
Yeah. Somebody asked about the craving ice. It is an iron deficiency. And I knew that from years ago, but it didn't dawn on me this summer. I just thought it was hot. I mean, extremely hot. And so.
Okay.
Yeah, we're having trouble with the feed tonight. Sometimes I don't know what else going on.
The weather, it's just the weather.
Somebody was wanting to know about selling some of the Dexters. We do have somebody wanting one anyway. And we just, with being sick and the weather, we just hadn't gotten to the point to.
Yeah, since me and Wanda's been so sick, we haven't had a chance to really work with the Dexters to.
And Danny can't load them, so anybody that gets a Dexter has to be able to handle cows. Any newbies that never have handled cows is going to have a time.
I mean, I can help. I just can't get there and wrestle around with them anymore like I used to could.
Would you paint the trees when you plant them to keep the worms out?
No, I would probably. I don't have any of them in here with me. I put them all in the barn. They make a plastic tree wrap that goes around the tree. I put that on my trees for the first couple of years, and then once the tree gets about 2 years old, I take it off, and then I paint the base of it.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
All right, so it's getting close to time, and we've had a lot of time buffering anyways, but most of you put your prayer requests and things up, and by the time we get to that, it will be about time. Do you put lime around your lemon trees?
No, I don't put any lime around my lemon trees. Of course, now I do a soil sample. And if the soil sample calls for lime, then I will put lime there. But you don't just go putting stuff around trees just because you think it needs it. Because if you put, say, too much potassium around the plant, then if your potassium's too high, it binds up the calcium in the soil, and your plant can't take it up, so you got to up your magnesium in the soil in order for it to be able to take the calcium back up and override the potassium. So I mean, there's soil analysis is like magic. I mean, it's like chemistry. You've got to know what does what. You can't just go say, oh, I'm going to put some blood meal around this plant, or I'm going to put some Epsom salt around this plant for magnesium, or I'm going to put some wood ashes around this one because it might need some potash. Because if you get one thing too high in the soil, it'll bind up something else where it can't take it up, and then the plant still suffers. So you really got to know the chemistry of the soil. That's why I tell people, go over to Grower Solutions. We got a link in the description down below. Get yourself a soil test kit. Test your soil. See what it needs, and then add it. You know what I mean?
And each plant is different.
Yes.
Something that you need to add for potatoes in the same soil, if you were planting tomatoes, might not need that same. So you have to know the plant you're putting there. You need
to, when you fill out the thing, you need to tell them what you're planting there. Because if you put, like tomatoes need high calcium. You put high calcium and then you put potatoes there. Potatoes don't need calcium at all. They need an acidic soil of about 5 or 5.5, because if you got it too high, the skin on the potatoes will look like an alligator skin. I mean, your potatoes won't do good. So you gotta know your plants. You gotta know what you're looking for. You know, you can't just go out there and stick something in the ground and it work. I mean, it's a science.
Cynthia, it's not the camera lens, because I cleaned that. It's the fact that Danny moves a lot and the camera's trying to focus on him. It's never done that before.
Not till we change the background.
So, I don't know. We may have to change the background again.
Well, we'll see. We'll see.
Or change cameras or something. I'm not sure, because the webcam doesn't have any, or I haven't found anywhere where I can fix that. It's an autofocus thing, and it does it by itself.
Okay.
Cherie is right. She said, well, dang, if you are putting a variety of different things, you really need to know what to do.
Exactly.
That is why beginning gardeners really get frustrated so much, is because they want to go out and plant everything. And then they general fertilize everything, and then they wonder why their potatoes have these bubbles and why their tomatoes aren't getting big, and and they can't figure it out because they think they did something wrong. And it's simply that they did not understand the makeup of each plant. It's just like each person is different. And what I need in my life to make me healthy, thank you, Mississippi Soldier. What's some nice flowers to grow?
Well, it depends on what you want to use them for and where they're going at. If you want some in the garden, the great flowers to grow in the garden are marigolds. Marigolds is probably number one in the garden. If you want some just nice flowers to grow out, what are some of your nasturtiums?
I like growing roses.
That's not a flower.
It is a flower.
That's a bush.
Well, still. But if you were doing like cut type flowers, echinacea, because of the medicinal purposes, I ain't gonna tell you what. Go look it up, because I could get in trouble being a doctor. But echinacea is fantastic. What am I thinking? What's the others?
Gosh.
I'm not a flower person. I love flowers.
Lazy Susans. I mean, if you're just looking for beauty, the Lazy Susans are great.
Just be very careful with your wildflowers.
Yes, wildflower mixes can get out of hand. So be very, very careful with that.
I would be more apt to buy whatever flower you want. Daisies and things like that. Usually in my high tunnel, I kept Gerber daisies. What was the others? I did geranium. Oh, geraniums are fabulous medicinal purposes, but they're beautiful too. And I've got some other
zinnias,
periwinkles.
Periwinkles, zinnias.
And what's the other one that's outside that we can't get rid of? Morning glory? No. Petunias. You can't get rid of
petunias when you plant them. Once you plant them, you've got flowers forever, and they're pretty.
And the cosmos. I put in Danny's. I didn't know what kind of flower it was. I put some in there, and we had this big plant come up. You can go back and check his high tunnel videos 2 years ago, maybe 3 years ago. I can't remember. We had this plant that just kept growing, and it got to be, 4 or 5 feet tall?
I think it got to be 4 or 5 feet tall.
And it wasn't producing anything. And I said, it's a flower. He said, but what kind of flower? Because I don't study flowers like I do other things. And he's like, what is it? And when it finally started blooming, it was a beautiful orange cosmos, and it just bloomed all over the place. And it was beautiful. So cosmos is a good flower that you can grow.
Somebody's asking, can you use electroculture inside the house? And the answer is yes. You can use it inside very successfully. It doesn't change anything in the world by putting it inside a home versus outside the home. Electromagnetic currents travel everywhere all the time. They're all around you, inside, outside. The magnetosphere makes sure all that works like it's supposed to.
Yeah. So
anyway, all right, we got it's time for 8 o'clock. So you don't plant your echinacea or cosmos until, Cherie, you don't plant it until all danger of frost is gone.
Probably end of March, 1st of April, according to where you're at, maybe end of April.
It all depends on where you live at.
And then sunflowers. If you like growing sunflowers, they make little bitty sunflowers, medium sunflowers, big sunflowers.
DC 46 says, is now the best time to trim trees? Yes, as a matter of fact, today, that's one thing I did do today. I went up and started trimming my grapevines.
Did you?
Yeah, so, yes. So there's one thing I forgot. Okay, we need to have a prayer because a lot of people have got church tomorrow, and maybe the weather's bad. I mean, I don't know. I mean, there's lots of things going on.
We haven't smoked any bacon this time.
Robert, we don't have a pig. We don't have a pig.
Okay.
Okay. Father, we thank you so much. You've given us a good live stream tonight, and the old devil's tried to jump in there a couple of times, and Father, we're glad that you was able to overcome that for us, and Father, a lot of good questions tonight, because between now and say March, people is going to need to be getting ready to do their gardening because, well, I can't go into it right now, Father, but there's reasons why this year is really, really important to get your gardens in. And a lot of good questions. And I pray, Father, that in the upcoming weeks and months, that we'll be able to help people answer a lot of these questions and be able to get, get their gardens growing and figure out what they actually need and how to make these plants grow, Father. I pray that you can grant people wisdom, and with it, you'll give them some understanding to go with it. I saw tonight several people talking about they're going to have some surgery, or their spouses is going to need surgery. Father, I pray for them specifically tonight, that you'll guide the surgeon's hands. Wanda's got to have some procedures done this week, be put to sleep, and so I pray that you'll guide the doctor's hands through this, Lord, even on her, and Lord, the ones that need it, just be with these doctors, Father, and help them to be able to find what they need to find and be able to correct what needs to be corrected. And still got a lot of people sick, a lot of people dealing with a lot of different weaponized situations, and Father, we just pray that you help them to overcome that. And a lot of people, the one thing we all seem to have problems with lots of times is finances. And Father, finances is right up there with our health. That's two things that we seem to have a lot of problem with in this world today. So I'm just praying that you help people to be able to manage their finances a little better and help them to be able to, if they're too deep in debt, be able to get out of debt. And if you're looking for a place to live, then I pray that you'll be able to find that place. And Father, the unspoken prayer requests that were not mentioned tonight, we pray for them. Ask that you look down and meet the needs of those requests that's mentioned tonight. And Father, just the state of Texas tonight is in turmoil. But the thing about it is, I can't go into detail. I know more, and I probably should know about that. But Father, I pray for the other states that's standing behind the state of Texas also. We got the state of Oklahoma and many more. I'm not even going to go into it, but many more of them that's standing behind Texas and ready to come at their rescue at any moment they need it. And I'm just praying that we don't end up with some kind of civil situation there, Father. So we just pray for the state of Texas right now, that they can get their borders closed and that they can handle the situation. Not only Texas, but Arizona, New Mexico, Florida, and all the other states that are having these issues now. So Father, go with us tonight. We want to pray for our leaders, because Father, if we don't pray for our leaders, they're not going to ever be successful. So we got to pray them up, pray for them. We got to lift them up before you. I pray for. I don't really pray for our country that much anymore, because I know you've told me that your hand's been lifted off of it. But what I do pray for is your people that live in this wicked nation, Father. I pray that you just be with your people, Father. Give them the wisdom and the understanding. Help them to get stocked up and get ready for what's coming in the next couple of 3 years. Lord, I just pray that you'll help them to get ready for that now. And you'll give them the financial ability to be able to make that happen now. So we ask all these things tonight. In Christ's name, amen. I do not have a tip. Oh, man. Just thought about it.
You got a headache?
Oh, okay. All right. Moments Divine, I am praying the exact same thing, that it's not a trap for the Patriots, because I have a suspicion that it very well might be. Oh, man.
Thank all of you for stopping by tonight and for the prayers and all the information and stuff this week. Like I said, he'll do Porch Time, and I'll have one video at least on Deep South, one on Pecan Grove, and after that
we don't know, because we don't know what all they're going to do with Ms. Wanda. Let's just be honest.
And I've just been so tired for the past month. Really, it's been 2 months.
Yeah.
No, it's been longer than that.
It's been longer, since November.
3 months. For 3 months now, I've had issues, and I've just been ignoring it until it got to the point I couldn't ignore it anymore.
Yeah.
So I've not done a lot of videos in the last 3 months because I just hadn't felt like dealing with it. My ability to make videos
Yeah.
just wasn't there. So Danny's been helping
I've been
keep
helping
it up.
Ronald Hagan says, Danny, do you have a bandsaw with your meat processing equipment? No, I do not have a bandsaw with it. That's my one last piece of equipment in the near future, or in the future in general, to be able to try to come up with is a meat saw, like a bandsaw, so that I can cut my meat up after it's frozen. You know, I can just, once I've let it hang, and I can cut it up in big pieces and just go ahead and freeze it, and then I can just go ahead and run it through there and cut it up in my steaks and my chops and my roasts and all that kind of stuff, my loins and all that. I can whack all that stuff up, and I don't have to sit there with a knife and try to do it. So that's one thing we are looking for in the future.
Tambra, I don't know if you're on Patreon or not, but I have been keeping my patrons kind of up to date. They may be a day behind, but at least I'm trying to let them know what's going on. Sometimes I post whatever happened that day. It's just hard for me to jump back and forth. I'm not big on social media anyway. YouTube and Patreon's about it.
Yes.
So if I think about a community post on YouTube, or if maybe Wednesday Danny can go live for a few minutes and tell you how I'm doing after the procedure or something.
Yeah.
We'll see. It's according to how he feels too.
Okay. Oh.
All right, you still have no tip. He has no tip.
Yeah,
No,
guys.
no tip. None.
We've been so busy this week. I haven't been on social media. There's not much that I've actually done this week except run back and forth to the doctor with Ms. Wanda. And trying to get my cows, keeping them fed, trying to keep the rabbits fed, trying to keep hay to the animals, you know, keeping feed, just trying to keep things going here and there, back and forth to this place, over to that place, you know, just, I really haven't had a lot of time this week to do a lot of studying of any kind. A Mississippi soldier says, you reckon my bananas died in ground? But usually the root system does not die. The top will freeze back, but do not cut it off.
Leave it alone.
Leave it alone. A lot of people make the mistake. They cut their banana trees back to the ground every year. Do not do that. Leave it standing. It may flop over and fall down or whatever, but leave it alone.
It'll get soggy, and it might smell, and it'll kind of, what do you call it, sour.
It may sour and smell bad,
But
look bad.
Leave it alone.
Just leave it alone, because it takes 18 months to grow a banana, and we only have 12 months in a year. And if you go cutting that thing down, then you got to regrow all that you've already growed.
Even though it
looks bad. Me and Wanda learned that, and then we began to have bananas after that. Once we figured it out, we started learning how to grow bananas.
But we just hadn't got them to edible age yet.
Yeah, the freeze.
Every time we've gotten them to the point that we have tags hanging on ours, we have an extremely hard freeze. No matter what we do to warm them up or keep it, they still freeze.
They still freeze every time.
So we've not managed to. We've had some beautiful bananas.
Oh yeah, we've had some really nice looking bananas. But anyway, guys, the one thing, if I had to leave you with a tip tonight, take care of your health, because
Don't ignore stuff.
Don't ignore stuff. Wanda and I grew up I've been rough. Now, let me tell you something. I was a rough character. I was one of those kind that when they needed a person to go in and do a mission or a job, I was the one. Nobody else would do it. I would go in and do it, and I would usually end up at some point getting hurt some way. But I survived. But now I look back and I realize this is now taking its toll on my body now. And that's one thing I tell you, take care of your health. You know, don't.
Yeah, Danny has many issues, and when we go, like I said, he's been in the hospital several times.
Yeah.
Almost every time we go, they say, okay, this is normal, da 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 da. It's not normal. It didn't happen before.
Right.
And now he's, with his neck, he messed his neck up many years ago. and he keeps re-injuring some of that just by lifting, twisting, pulling on something.
Yeah.
You never know when the neck's gonna mess up a little bit. Plus, he's messed his back up before.
Yeah, I broke my back when I was younger, and the military has a thing that teaches you that the back will heal itself a ½ inch every month if you do specific things. And I did those things because they wanted to do surgery on me, and I wouldn't let them. And I did those things, and my back, it healed itself. But now, do I still have back problems? Yes, I still have back problems, but not like I did back then. Now my neck, I have a disc messed up in my neck right now, and I'm trying to avoid any kind of surgeries or anything like that. I'm trying to nurse it back myself. I have 3 times in the past, and I'm hoping to be able to do it again this time. I don't know if I'm older now. My body doesn't bounce back like it used to.
Like I said, I ignored symptoms all summer long, and then by November I knew there was something going on because I was very tired all the time. But I just was pushing to get things done. So yeah, you don't need to push too hard. And
Yeah.
I need to take my own advice.
Yeah, we need to listen to our own advice sometimes, don't we?
So that's our tip.
Yeah. Okay, guys. Y'all have a wonderful, wonderful night and weekend, and just enjoy yourself and praise the Lord for what He does for you. When you wake up in the morning, thank the Lord that you woke up in the morning. Thank the Lord that you're able to fix your breakfast or fix your lunch or to go outside. Praise God continually. The one thing that makes God happy is to be thankful and to praise Him. That we have learned, and it goes a long way with the Lord. Thank you guys from Deep South Homestead.